Jamal Thompson had always believed that hard work was the bridge between dreams and reality. Born in the bustling streets of Houston, Texas, to parents who scraped by on factory wages, Jamal learned early that nothing worth having came without sweat and sacrifice. By age 18, he was working 2 jobs, mornings at a mechanic's shop, evenings mucking stables at a local horse farm, just to save for his own piece of land. He wasn't chasing luxury. He wanted roots, a place where the earth spoke back to him through the rhythm of hooves and the whisper of wind through tall grass. After 2 decades of grinding, serving in the Army for 4 years, then building a small trucking business, Jamal finally closed on his dream. A 50-acre ranch on the outskirts of Austin, in a semi-rural subdivision called Willow Creek Estates. The day he moved in, the sun hung high like a promise. Jamal, now 45, stood at the edge of his property, his dark skin glistening under the Texas heat, boots sinking into the rich soil. His wife Lena, a schoolteacher with a warm smile and unyielding spirit, unpacked boxes in the modest farmhouse while their 2 kids, 12-year-old Maya and 10-year-old Kai, chased chickens across the yard. "This is it, family," Jamal said, his voice thick with emotion. "Our legacy starts here." The ranch wasn't flashy. Just a few sturdy barns, a herd of goats, some cattle, and a vegetable garden that Jamal planned to expand into a community farm. He'd checked every box: zoning permits for agriculture, environmental clearances, even a nod from the county for his solar-powered irrigation system. Willow Creek was supposed to be a blend of suburban homes and rural lots, but Jamal soon learned that blend meant something different to the locals. Trouble arrived not with a bang, but with a crisp envelope slipped into his mailbox 3 weeks later. Jamal pulled it out on his way back from feeding the animals, expecting maybe a utility bill or a welcome from neighbors. Instead, the letterhead screamed authority: Willow Creek Homeowners Association. Signed by Evelyn Hargrove, the HOA president. It was blunt and unforgiving. "Mr. Thompson," it read, "your property at 142 Willow Ridge Lane fails to comply with community covenants. The presence of livestock and non-standard fencing disrupts the harmonious aesthetic of Willow Creek. You are hereby given 72 hours to May. List your ranch for sale or face escalating fines, liens, and potential legal action." Jamal's hands trembled as he read it again, the words blurring under the afternoon glare. Sell? After pouring his life savings into this? He crumpled the paper, his broad shoulders tensing like coiled springs. Lena found him in the kitchen, staring, out at the pasture where the cattle grazed peacefully. "Jamal, what's got you looking like thunder?" He slid the letter across the table. Her eyes widened as she scanned it, her fingers tracing the signature. "This can't be serious. We've got all the papers. The land's zoned for this." Jamal nodded, but his mind raced. He knew the undercurrents here. Willow Creek was mostly upscale homes with manicured lawns owned by folks who commuted to Austin's tech hubs. A black rancher with goats and a pickup truck full of hay didn't fit their Instagram-perfect vision. "It's not about zoning," he said quietly. "It's about us not looking like them." Lena pulled him into a hug, her voice fierce. "Then we fight. You've built too much to let some paper push you out." That evening, as the kids played board games on the porch, Jamal couldn't shake the anger bubbling inside. He thought of his grandfather, a sharecropper who'd lost everything in the Jim Crow South, and how he'd sworn to never let anyone steal his ground again. Sleep evaded him that night. Instead, he paced the living room, the letter mocking him from the mantel. By dawn, resolve hardened in his chest. He wouldn't roll over. Dressed in his work jeans and a faded army tee, Jamal drove to Evelyn Hargrove's address. Easy to find, as it was the grandest house in the subdivision. A sprawling 2-story with columns and a fountain that gurgled like a taunt. Evelyn answered. The door herself. A woman in her early 60s with sharp features, pearl earrings, and a blouse that screamed boardroom chic. Her smile was polite but cold, like frost on a windowpane. "Mr. Thompson, I presume? To what do I owe this visit?" Jamal held up the letter, his voice steady despite the storm inside. "This. You want to explain why you're telling me to sell my home in 3 days?" Evelyn's eyes flickered, but she didn't flinch. "It's straightforward. Our covenants prioritize a cohesive community image. Your operation doesn't align." Livestock odors, visible fencing. It's not the Willow Creek way. Jamal stepped forward, his height towering but his tone measured. My operation is legal, county approved. This ain't about image, it's about control. Evelyn crossed her arms. Legal or not, the board enforces standards for everyone's benefit. Comply or leave. Simple as that. The words hit like a slap, but Jamal didn't back down. I've fought tougher battles than this, ma'am. In the desert, under fire. You think a letter scares me? He turned and walked away, the gravel crunching under his boots, but her parting shot echoed. 72 hours, Mr. Thompson. Tick-tock. Back home, Lena waited with coffee. How'd it go? Jamal sank into a chair. She's dug in. Thinks she's queen of this hill. But as he replayed the encounter, a spark ignited. Evelyn's confidence felt too absolute, like she was hiding something. That afternoon, Jamal hit the county records office, pulling files on his property. Hours later, he emerged with a stack of deeds and maps, his mind whirring. Buried in the fine print was a mention of an old easement, a shared access road that the HOA used for their community park, built decades ago on what was now his land's edge. Word spread fast in Willow Creek. By evening, a neighbor named Rosa Martinez, a Latina single mom who ran a home bakery, knocked on his door. I heard about the letter, she said, glancing nervously over her shoulder. Evelyn did the same to me last year. Fined me for my delivery van being unsightly. I paid up, but it nearly broke me. Jamal nodded, inviting her in. You're not alone, he said. As they talked, more stories emerged. A veteran fined for his flagpole, a family pressured to remove solar panels. Rosa's eyes lit up when Jamal mentioned the easement. That park? They've been charging event fees there if it's on your land. The idea planted a seed. Jamal spent the night poring over documents, his army-honed discipline kicking in. He cross-referenced surveys, discovering the HOA's lease on that strip of land had lapsed years ago, renewed informally, but never legally, with the new owner, him. The next day brought more allies. At the feed store in nearby manor, an old-timer named Hank, a white rancher with a weathered face, clapped Jamal on the back. Boy, Evelyn's been terrorizing folks since she took over that HOA, pushed out 3 families already. Hank shared tales of inflated dues and selective enforcement, always targeting those who didn't fit. Inspired, Jamal organized a quiet gathering at his barn that evening. Rosa, Hank, and a few others. We're not just fighting for my ranch, he told them. This is about reclaiming what's ours. As the group brainstormed, Jamal's kids listened. From the hayloft, Maya whispering, Dad's a hero. But Evelyn wasn't idle. Rumors swirled of her rallying the board for fines starting at $500 a day. 72 hours ticked down to 48. Jamal confronted the board at their monthly meeting in the community hall, ironically adjacent to the disputed park. The room buzzed with tension as he stood, documents in hand. This notice is baseless, he declared. Evelyn banged her gavel. Out of order. But murmurs rippled. Some residents were waking up. Jamal left with fire in his veins, knowing the real battle was brewing. That night, digging deeper into old lease agreements from the previous owner, he uncovered the gold mine. The HOA had been subletting parts of the easement for events, pocketing profits without rights. If he owned it, he could renegotiate or revoke. A plan formed. Not just fight back, but turn the tables. As the sun set on day 2, Jamal sat with Lena on the porch, stars blanketing the sky. This could change everything, he said. She squeezed his hand. You've got this. Show them what resilience looks like. Little did he know the discovery would lead to a twist that stunned the neighborhood, tripling the HOA's rent overnight and inspiring a wave of change. But first, he had to build his case ally by ally, page by page. With the clock ticking mercilessly toward the end of his 72-hour ultimatum, Jamal Thompson refused to let panic take root. Instead, he channeled it into action, drawing on the strategic mindset he'd honed during his army days in Iraq. where every decision could mean survival. The ranch buzzed with quiet determination that morning. Lena prepared breakfast while the kids helped with chores, sensing the gravity without fully understanding it. "Dad, are we going to lose the animals?" Kai asked, his small hands clutching a feed bucket. Jamal knelt to his level, eyes steady. "Not if I can help it, son. Sometimes you gotta dig deep to find the strength." It was a lesson he lived by, and now it fueled his quest for truth. Jamal quote's first stop was the Travis County Clerk's office in downtown Austin, a labyrinth of fluorescent lights and towering file cabinets. Armed with his property deed and a notepad, he requested every record tied to Willow Creek Estates, plats, covenants, historical leases. The clerk, a kindly woman named Miss Patel, raised an eyebrow. "Big project?" Jamal smiled faintly. "You could say that. Fighting for my home." Hours melted away as he sifted through yellowed papers, his fingers tracing boundaries on faded maps. What emerged was a web of inconsistencies. The HOA's community park, complete with pavilions and a playground, encroached on a 5-acre parcel that was unequivocally part of his ranch. An old lease from 1985 allowed temporary use, but it expired in 2010, never renewed properly after the land changed hands multiple times. This wasn't just oversight. It smelled of deliberate neglect. Jamal photocopied everything, his heart pounding. Back in his truck, he called Rosa. "You were right about the park. They've been using it like it's theirs." Rosa's voice crackled with excitement. "Meet me at my place. I've got friends who can help." That afternoon, a small coalition formed in Rosa's cozy kitchen. Hank from the feed store, a retired lawyer named Mr. Ellis who'd been fined for his bird feeders, and a young couple, the Patels, no relation to the clerk, who'd faced harassment over their Diwali lights. "Evelyn's ruled with an iron fist for a decade," Mr. Ellis said, peering over Jamal's documents through bifocals. "But this is leverage. If the lease lapsed, any revenue from events there is unauthorized." Inspired, the group divided tasks. Hank scoured old newsletters for proof of park rentals, weddings, picnics, even corporate retreats that charged fees. Rosa dug into HOA financials, public records showing dues hikes without explanations. Jamal focused on the human element, knocking on doors in the subdivision. Not everyone answered. Some peeked through curtains, fear etched on their faces. But others opened up. Mrs. Lee, an elderly Asian widow, shared how Evelyn had threatened foreclosure over her overgrown garden. "I paid the fines, but it broke my spirit," she whispered. Jamal listened, his empathy deepening his resolve. "We're building something bigger than my fight," he told her. "Join us." By evening, the coalition grew to 10, meeting in Jamal's barn under lantern light. Stories poured out like floodwaters: selective enforcement, secret board votes, dues funneled into Evelyn's improvements like her home's new gazebo. Jamal shared his findings, projecting maps on a sheet with his phone. "This park is on my land. They've been profiting off it. $10,000 last year alone from rentals." Gasps echoed. Mr. Ellis nodded. "We can petition for an audit, but first confront her with facts." As the meeting ended, Maya and Kai handed out lemonade, their innocent pride swelling Jamal's chest. "You're teaching them courage," Lena said, later as they lay in bed. "And me too." The next day, with 24 hours left, Jamal escalated. He visited the local newspaper office, tipping off a reporter about HOA overreach. Then, back to the records office for deeper dives, tax filings revealing the HOA claimed depreciation on the park without ownership. A bombshell, Evelyn's signature on a 2015 renewal attempt, but it was forged, mismatched to official docs. "Gotcha," Jamal muttered. Allies reported back. Hank found emails, leaked by a disgruntled ex-board member, showing Evelyn dismissing complaints as troublemakers. Rosa uncovered that dues-funded personal perks like Evelyn's travel to HOA conferences. Tensions peaked at a pop-up farmer's market in Austin, where Jamal sold his ranch's fresh produce. Evelyn appeared, flanked by two board members, her face a mask of feigned civility. "Mr. Thompson still here? Time's almost up." Jamal met her gaze. "I've found interesting things about that park. Care to discuss?" Her smile faltered. "Nonsense. That's community property." But her quick exit betrayed unease. That night, the coalition strategized. A public reveal at the next board meeting backed by evidence. Jamal practiced his speech, voice steady. "This isn't just about me," he told Lena. "It's about justice for all who've been silenced." As dawn broke on the final day, Jamal felt transformed. Not just a rancher, but a leader. The ultimatum loomed, but so did victory. Little did he know the twist awaited. Control of the land meant he could demand rent, and triple it, flipping the power dynamic overnight. As the final hours of the 72-hour notice dwindled, Jamal Thompson stood at the precipice of transformation. The ranch, once a symbol of his solitary dream, now pulsed with collective energy. Allies trickled in throughout the morning. Rosa with fresh-baked empanadas for morale, Hank with printed emails exposing Evelyn's schemes, Mr. Ellis clutching a drafted petition for a state HOA audit. "We've got the ammo," Mr. Ellis said, spreading papers across Jamal's kitchen table. "Now the delivery." Jamal nodded, his mind a whirlwind of strategy. He'd spent the night mapping out contingencies, drawing from military tactics. Flank the enemy, cut off retreats, strike with precision. First, they formalized the coalition into the Willow Creek Fairness Alliance, a name Maya suggested with wide-eyed enthusiasm. "It sounds official, Dad." Jamal printed flyers, distributing them door to door with the kids' help. "Join us tonight at the board meeting," they read. "Demand transparency." Responses varied. Some doors slammed, but many cracked open with whispers of support. One man, a tech exec named Raj, confessed, "Evelyn fined me for my electric car charger, said it clashed. I've been waiting for someone like you." By noon, the alliance swelled to 20 members, a diverse tapestry reflecting the subdivision's hidden vibrancy. Jamal, S research deepened. At the library, he uncovered state laws on HOA governance, requirements for transparent finances, prohibitions on self-dealing. Cross-referencing with the lapsed lease, he calculated, the HOA owed back rent for 5 years of unauthorized use, totaling $50,000 at market rates. But Jamal envisioned more than repayment. He saw reform. "We'll demand accountability," he told the group during a midday huddle. Hank shared a breakthrough. Photos of Evelyn hosting private parties at the park, charging guests while pocketing fees. "That's embezzlement," Mr. Ellis confirmed. Afternoon brought confrontation. Evelyn, sensing the shift, sent a certified letter. Fines commence at midnight. $1,000 daily. Jamal laughed bitterly, showing it to Lena. She's desperate. Empowered, he rallied the alliance for door-knocking blitzes, collecting signatures for the petition, over 100 by sunset. Stories emerged. A black family pushed out years ago for noise complaints that were really barbecues. Immigrants fined for cultural decorations. Jamal's presence as a black leader resonated, inspiring tales of resilience. "You've given us hope," Mrs. Lee said, signing with trembling hands. As evening fell, the board meeting loomed at the community hall, poetically on the disputed park grounds. The alliance arrived en masse, filling seats. Evelyn's face paled at the sight. "This is a closed session," she barked. Jamal stood. "Not anymore. We're residents demanding answers." He presented the evidence, maps showing encroachment, expired leases, financial discrepancies. "You've been using my land without permission, profiting illegally." Murmurs turned to outrage. Evelyn stammered, "This is slander." But allies corroborated, Hank with emails, Rosa with ledgers. The meeting erupted into debate, residents voicing long-suppressed grievances. Jamal moderated, his voice a beacon of calm. "We're not here to destroy, we're here to rebuild fairly." By night's end, the board voted to table fines, scheduling an emergency audit. Evelyn stormed out, defeated but not broken. Back home, the alliance celebrated modestly. Phase 1 complete, Jamal said. But the real coup was brewing. With land control confirmed, he'd issue a new lease, tripling rent to fund community improvements, turning exploitation into empowerment. Victory didn't come in a flash for Jamal Thompson. It built like a Texas thunderstorm, gathering force until it unleashed. Post-meeting, Evelyn rallied loyalists, filing frivolous complaints with the county. But Jamal was prepared. With Mr. Ellis's help, he drafted a formal notice. As owner of the encroached land, he revoked access unless a new lease was signed, at triple the historical rate, $3,000 monthly, with proceeds earmarked for resident relief funds. "This isn't revenge," he told Lena. "It's restitution." The alliance mobilized, spreading the word via social media and flyers. Support surged. Even former skeptics joined, inspired by Jamal's integrity. The climax unfolded at a special assembly in the park. Jamal's park. Hundreds attended, media in tow. Evelyn arrived defiant, but Jamal presented irrefutably documents, testimonies, calculations. "For years, this HOA profited off my land. Now we'll use that rent to waive fines, fund scholarships, repair homes." The vote was overwhelming. New board elected, Evelyn ousted. Overnight, Jamal tripled the rent, channeling funds back to the community. Fines vanished, alliances formed, and Willow Creek transformed into a model of inclusivity. Jamal's ranch thrived, becoming a hub for workshops on empowerment. His family flourished. Maya started a youth group. Kai dreamed of farming. Years later, Jamal reflected. One notice sparked a revolution. His story inspired nationwide reforms, proving that one person's stand could uplift many. In the end, it wasn't just about land, it was about legacy, forged in fire and shared with all.